So, Bleacher Report is reporting that JJ Redick has interviewed for a possibility to become the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. And after reading the article, which, by the way, I'm going to print the article in the description and you guys can read it for yourself. Sources over there at the worldwide leader of sports, ESPN, is basically reporting that JJ Redick has been interviewed as a possibility of becoming the head coach of the Toronto Raptors. Now, I'm not going to go into full details of the article because, like I said, I'm going to print it down below. And I can't really necessarily confirm or deny this report. Not a lot of outlets are reporting the fact that he was interviewed as head coach of the Toronto Raptors. But if this is true, the Toronto Raptors have sunk to an all-time low. I mean, obviously, and when it comes to a lot of these teams, when they looking for a head coach, they have a pretty much an A tier, a B tier, and a C tier. And your A tier is people that you already had conversations with, that you feel like that's an easy replacement. And you also have on that A tier list of replacements of head coaches that had tons of experience, and particularly with above 500 ball clubs, and had playoff experience as a head coach and things of that nature, have been through the rigors. And then your B tiers, like college, up and coming younger coaches, assistant coaches, and college coaches. And then your C tier is pretty much players that have been in the league, that you want to promote real fast and real quick. You feel like you want to take a chance on. But JJ Redick is not even an A-list, B-list, or C-list. I feel like he's a D-list type of individual. And to me, if the Toronto Raptors are really serious about landing JJ Redick as a possibility replacement to become the head coach of the Toronto Raptors, then what that's telling me is if he gets the position, the Toronto Raptors are on a complete rebuild. They are on a complete tear down, and they just going to build their team from the draft. The players that they already have on board, which, by the way, the Toronto Raptors have just enough talent to be above 500 ball club, just enough talent to challenge, the 8th seed, or possibly, being in the play-in tournament, winning the play-in tournament to get into the playoffs. Okay, the Toronto Raptors are not that far in being a playoff team. Now, how long of success they have in the playoffs, if they have to play the number 1 seed, it's going to be rough for them. Okay, unless the number 1 seed has a ton of injuries, and the coach just forgets how to coach. But it's not impossible for the Toronto Raptors to have some success in the playoffs. All right. So if this is true, this is telling me that the Toronto Raptors, the brain trust up there, really doesn't have a lot of, really don't have a lot of faith in the players that they already have. And this also is telling me that they went through their A tier, their B tier, their C tier, and there are no possibilities as far as, getting a head coach. I know Udoka was out there just dangling, and the Houston Rockets got Ime Udoka. I know they were, looking at several other coaches that got fired recently this year. But I mean, if this is true, they are in a total rebuild because JJ Redick has no coaching experience. Okay. Now, yes, he's a great broadcaster. He has a very successful podcast, and he's making a name for himself at the worldwide leader of sports. A great debater when it comes to debating against Stephen A. Smith. A lot of his experience in the NBA, he utilized this on a constant, consistent basis on not only on his platform, but on several other platforms to get a sneak peek to a lot of people that wants to know what's going on in an NBA locker room or his experience or things of that nature. Other than that, I just do not see JJ Redick as a possible replacement to be a head coach of a team that's hovering around 500. That has talent, by the way. And I just don't see it, folks. It's if this is like, and a lot of teams go to this phase where, you know, all the good head coaches are already on established teams. Okay, there's really no prospects out there in college basketball that wants to that you're trying to offer your position to. And, you know, the assistant coaches that are on the successful teams are willing to stay one more year, or, you know, willing to stay with the team that they currently find themselves at. I mean, and this also tells me, and this just came, just come registering through my head, that the Toronto Raptors must be a difficult place to even find a head coach that's willing to, coach the Toronto Raptors. You know, now there have been a lot of people that think that it's hard to recruit in free agency because not a lot of NBA players want to live in Toronto, much less play in Toronto. And it's a huge pass. And I'll be honest with you, you can find players that, both of these places are not exotic places by any stretch of the imagination. But if the Toronto Raptors was looking for a head coach and the Cleveland Cavaliers was looking for a head coach, Cleveland will get that they will get their head coach before the Toronto Raptors. The same way it goes in free agency. Not a lot of players want to live in Canada. I'm just being frank and I'm being honest. That's why they promote. They have Drake as their ambassador for the Toronto Raptors to make it cute, to make it hip, to make it the in thing. But even even Drake can't lure free agents that want to go to Toronto. I'll be honest with you. If they get anybody in free agency, it's somebody that clearly overplayed their hand in free agency, and the Toronto Raptors are just are the only team that's willing to pay them the type of money that they want. But other than that, it's a sad state of affairs because the Toronto Raptors, even though they didn't have a whole lot of success in the play. I mean, this team won the chip many moons ago, and they went from there. They had Nick Nurse, they had all of these players that they've been promoting, and now they're reduced to JJ Redick. This just clearly tells me they're going to tear this team down. They're going to trade the player, the talent that they already have, and start this puppy all over again. Okay, and that's a huge setback for the Toronto Raptors if this report is true. Now, I don't really have a lot of faith in this report. I just think this is just fluff. That it's a slow news day. And they have to put something out in the papers or in the interwebs. And I also feel like the Toronto Raptors just did it for, interviewed him because of the, just to be nice about it, but he's not really on their radar. This is something that JJ Redick can utilize as material for his podcast. Hey, the Toronto Raptors once knocked on my door to become a possibility of a head coach. Okay, yada, 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 yada. Okay. Kenny Smith When the New York Knicks were not the New York Knicks, they were just struggling. Okay. There was one point of time where Kenny Smith could have gotten the head coaching job. That's what the report said. I don't believe that either, and I just don't believe this as well. This clearly tells you it's a slow news day in the world of sports, and they just want to throw something out there to fill the void. And I just think the Toronto Raptors overall are not serious about this, and it's just something that they're just doing it out of the kindness of their heart, to create buzz. Hey, don't forget about us, the Toronto Raptors, for the possibility of talented NBA players that are going to be in free agency. I think they're going to get a well-established head coach. Right now, nobody knows who is that head coach. It's just weird right now. It's a weird space. But anywho, guys, you tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. Am I tripping? Because I read the article, and this has to be a joke. This just has to be a joke. It's a slow news day. They want to throw something out there. I just don't believe this to be true. But yeah, this is a bad look for the Toronto Raptors. Okay, but guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'm up out of here. I'll see you guys later. Deuces.